Legacy features, as DICE likes to refer to them, as you all know, are sorely lacking in Battlefield 2042. From the bigger things like a traditional scoreboard or VoIP, all the way down to the smaller ones like being able to customize world UI icons. These are all features that Battlefield players have come to not only enjoy, but also expect from their Battlefield games, and Battlefield 2042 really didn't deliver on that aspect. So I thought today we could go back and put together a little list of all the so-called legacy features, big and small, that are missing from the game and should be added not just to Battlefield 2042, but every other Battlefield game that's to come. Now before we get into this, just know that I only really started to get into the Battlefield games quite heavily with Battlefield 3, so if some of these features were available before then, by all means feel free to correct me down in the comments. So starting off, we have a big one for me, and that is a customizable minimap. As early as Battlefield 3, you always had the option to zoom your minimap to 3 different settings. You had zoomed out, zoomed in, or somewhere in between. When Battlefield 4's CTE kicked off, they expanded upon those options even further, allowing players to customize the overall size of the minimap to make use of spare screen real estate if you happen to be playing on a large monitor, for example, and change the size or transparency of individual icons that appear on the minimap, like spotting triangles. Unfortunately, in Battlefield 2042, you can't even so much as zoom the map to different levels. So in my opinion, this is a feature that really needs to be included in every Battlefield game. It should simply be standard. Next up is VoIP. Now, yep, I know they're currently working on adding VoIP to 2042, and it's more important than ever now given the crossplay functionality. Most console users won't be typing things to you in the squad chat. Now, the way VoIP has worked in the past in Battlefield games has been essentially that you can only communicate with your squad. I recently had the pleasure of trying out BattleBit, and in that game they have 3 different VoIP channels for communication. You've got Team VoIP, Squad VoIP, and then Local VoIP as well. Local VoIP is just always a bunch of fun in games for me. It was especially interesting in BattleBit though, because you could actually hear the chatter from downed players, and they would use the Local VoIP to call out for a medic and see if anybody was in the area. After having had no communication in Battlefield at all, it was really a breath of fresh air to experience that. Okay, next one, 2 additions to the spawn screen. Firstly, again, a zoomable map. This first appeared in Battlefield 1, I believe. The live Battlefield view in the spawn screen is really cool, but you definitely need to be able to zoom in to see what's happening, and more importantly, to be able to find a good spawn point. And the second thing is a feature that first appeared in Battlefield 4, a preview camera for squad spawning that gives you a first-person chest cam view of what your squad mates see, so you can assess the situation and decide whether or not that's a good squaddy to spawn on. Okay, my next one on the list is quite small, and it'll only really affect you if you use the jets, but that is the option to turn the chase camera roll on or off. Again, this was added with Battlefield 4, and turning it off means that in third person, the camera no longer rolls side to side with the aircraft. This was really nice for reducing motion sickness, and I personally used it for recording all my YouTube videos for that very purpose. Now, in Battlefield 2042, I don't have that choice anymore. Come on DICE, there's no reason you can't add this back in. Keeping in the vehicle section for a moment, the next one is vehicle aim decoupling. Now, some of you may be saying, what the bloody hell is that? Well, this allows you to turn the vehicle's turret independently of the vehicle itself, which means if you're in an attack helicopter and the pilot turns left, your turret won't automatically turn in the same direction. Next up, we have a UI scale and position changer. So this is really useful for people playing on very large monitors who don't need to see all of the UI quite so large. So in Battlefield 4, once again, you could not only scale the entire UI down, but also bring the whole thing closer to the center of the screen and, a bit closer into your peripheral vision. But I'd like to see even more than that. I don't want my minimap to shrink with the UI, but I might want to reduce the size of, say, my ammo counter in the bottom right. So what I'd like to see is each individual UI element to be customizable in this way. And finally, here we have UI icon manipulation, I'm going to call it. So you could change almost everything about the UI markers and elements in Battlefield 4. The transparency of them, the size of them, what showed up at all, what showed up on your ADS, etc. And you could customize each set of icons individually too. So the enemy icons had their own sliders, allied icons had theirs, object markers in the game like medkits, they had their own sliders. It just allowed everybody to have a much more personal experience and set up things exactly how they would like. I think everybody enjoys that kind of an experience when you start getting better at a game and then you find a plethora of options where you can just really tweak things and fine-tune them to get things set up precisely the way you like it. So a lot of these features began life in the CTE, or the community test environment for Battlefield 4. Before these test servers came along, most of these options simply weren't in the game, but they were a massive hit with players in Battlefield 4, allowing even more customization of one's personal playing experience, and due to their success, they were subsequently added to Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5. That's why it really boggles the mind as to why they weren't also added to Battlefield 2042. So that is my list of legacy features that Battlefield needs. I know a lot of you consider Battlefield 2042 to be dead, and no matter what they do with the game, you simply won't go back and play it, and honestly, I can't blame you for that. EA and DICE brought this upon themselves, and those of you out there who say the game will never recover may well be correct. But nevertheless, I still wanted to make this list here for two main reasons. Firstly, just in the spirit of doing my part. I've been a massive fan of the Battlefield franchise for so many years, and ideally want to see it succeed. Just like most of you, I'm less than satisfied with Battlefield 2042, but if I can make any difference to what DICE put in the game with this list of mine, well, I have to at least try. And secondly, and perhaps more importantly, this is to learn from the mistakes of the past. This list does not just apply to Battlefield 2042, but should be applicable to all Battlefield games that come out in the future. There really is no reason why they shouldn't have these features. Now, that being said, I'm sure there are plenty of features that I've completely forgotten about, or perhaps you guys even have some ideas for new ones that have never been included in a Battlefield game before, so by all means, go ahead and leave those in the comments below so they can be shared around and discussed. Thank you guys for watching the video today. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.